On today's episode, I'm joined by Chris from DCL Cruising Dad as we dive into his recent 7-night Western Caribbean sailing aboard the brand new Disney Treasure. From Cozumel to Grand Cayman to Castaway Cay, Chris breaks down everything from stateroom decor and standout meals to onboard entertainment, themed lounges, and unforgettable cast member moments. This is part 1. Today's April 11th, 2025, and this is episode 762 of the Main Street Magic Podcast.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts, Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Main Street Magic. I'm your host, Jeremy Stein, and while Rhonda won't be joining me today, I will soon be joined by Disney Cruise Line expert Chris from DCL Cruising Dad for an incredible trip report from the brand new Disney Treasure. But first, be sure to check us out online at mainstmagic.com and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at mainstmagic. If you want to be a part of the conversation and catch our live streams from the parks and resorts, just head to Facebook and search for the Main Street Magic community and ask to join. And then don't forget to subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. New ones drop every Tuesday and Friday. If you're planning a trip to Walt Disney World or Disneyland, it can be overwhelming, especially when it comes to dining reservations. That's where Mouse Dining comes in. This free service alerts you when your desired restaurant, date, meal, and time become available. Visit msmfriends.com to get started and take the stress out of Disney dining. Let MEI Travel help you chart the perfect course aboard any Disney Cruise Line ship, including the all-new Disney Treasure, Disney's most magical ship yet. From immersive dining and world-class entertainment to unforgettable destinations across the Caribbean and beyond, it's more than a cruise, it's a floating kingdom of magic and memories. Whether it's your very first voyage or you're a proud Castaway Club Pearl member, our expert travel advisor Amy at MEI Travel will take care of every detail so you can focus on the fun, the food, and the pixie dust. Visit mainstmagic.com/travel today to book your next Disney Cruise Line vacation and get ready to uncover the treasure waiting at sea. So today, I'm very excited to be joined by Chris, the voice behind DCL Cruising Dad, a go-to resource for all things Disney Cruise Line. From expert planning tips to ship-specific secrets and onboard must-dos, Chris shares his passion for cruising, the magic of Disney at sea, and how his family adventures sparked a platform that now helps thousands of cruisers set sail with confidence. Whether you're a first-time cruiser or a Castaway Club veteran, you'll walk away with practical advice, insider insight, and a whole lot of cruise day excitement. Let's welcome Chris to the Main Street Magic Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. This is Chris from DCL Cruising Dad. We're going to talk all about the Disney Treasure. But first, I want to get into a little bit of your history and your background with Disney cruising. So let everybody know, our listeners, a little bit about you and your family and your cruising.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. My cruising background actually started before Disney in 1994. I have two photos that my dad shared with us. We were on Royal Caribbean, Sovereign of the Seas, I believe. And what I love about the photo is even back then we did family matching shirts. We have these big, bright yellow shirts that I remember from that photo. And then growing up, we did a couple trips to Disney, but my love of Disney Cruise Line didn't start till 2014. Fast forward, at that time, my wife, Sarah, was working for an IT company, very small company, and her and the two owners decided to take their employees on a Disney cruise. So it was myself, Sarah, and our son, Jake, who at the time, I think was around 3 or 4, went on the Dream, a 3-night sailing, the same exact sailing that the Wish currently does. And that kind of got us a little interested in all the great character interactions that Jake got to experience and his love of the kids club at that time. Fast forward, my daughter Brooklyn was born, and we went 2018 on our first family Disney Cruise Line sailing. It was the 4 of us. Brooklyn at that time was in the nursery. And my sister and her now husband went, and my dad and his current girlfriend. So that was our first time with a very large family sailing. We did the Magic back when it used to stop at Key West. That was a lot of fun. We did matching outfits for dinners, and I have so many great photos and videos of Brooklyn's first interaction with the characters. That I think, based on that cruise, really bit into the Disney cruising pretty hard. Since then, we've been on the Treasure was our 14th sailing on
Wow.
Disney Cruise Line. Most favorite sailing out of them all would be my wife and I's honeymoon. We did that back in 2019 on the Fantasy, and ironically, that is my favorite sailing and also my favorite ship. The Fantasy just holds a special place in my heart, and it'll be very hard for her to lose that first place trophy. But since then, the Disney cruise sailings have been typically our family vacations, getting to experience new islands and new ships. It's something that we love as a family to do. And over the years and each sailing, we get more and more experience, more and more knowledge that I love and to share with people. Before our sailing on the Wish in 2022, my wife was seeing how much I was enjoying helping people on Facebook answering Disney cruise questions and basically seeing all the to-do lists and all my notes. She recommended, hey, why don't you just start a website? And so that fall and winter, I started working on DCL Cruising Dad. I moved all my social handles over to that, and by March of 2023, the website was up and live, DCLCruisingDad.com. So I thank my wife for giving me that idea, and it's gone from there.
Yeah, I think everybody should thank your wife for getting you to do that because it is one of the most
Yeah.
comprehensive sites on cruising that I've seen. It has anything people could look for. Yeah, from those lists to reviews to menus. It's the site that I go to when we're going to cruise so I can pull up the menu ahead of time and see what they have because those are sometimes hard to find. It was a reason I wanted to have you on today is to talk about your recent trip on the Disney Treasure. Very new ship, your 7-night Western Caribbean cruise there. So just want to jump into it, starting with your planning and getting ready and booking for this cruise specifically.
Before we went on the sailing, I actually looked back for my first email when we booked this trip, booked the sailing, which was September 13th of 2023. So that was quite a long time until we actually got to go on the sailing. But that was basically when the treasure itineraries dropped, and I knew exactly what room we like. In on our previous sailings, Navigator Veranda is a room we really like because I do love having the veranda, and then also enjoy a little discount because of the obstruction or the blocked view on the veranda. Sometimes you won't have a perfect view looking left or right, or sometimes the plexiglass that is typically clear might be white. A couple different scenarios, but you still have an amazing veranda to enjoy your coffee on in the morning and a couple more bucks in your wallet to spend on that cruise. So we booked Navigator's Veranda, and then we watched the ship grow up over the last since 2023, learning about all the different lounges and restaurants and everything. We were getting more and more excited, and I told my wife and daughter before we went on the sailing, I felt my knowledge of Disney Cruise Line and my website and all the social media stuff really grew up with the treasure. This was my first child, per se.
Yeah.
When everything got busy with in 2022, when I started everything, the Wish already grew up. She already had her maiden. Everyone loved her or didn't like her. Everyone didn't like the change, etc. New ship. But now with the treasure, it was exciting, and I wanted to give them their own personal tour on the treasure, going through all the different lounges, giving them all the little Easter eggs, sharing all this knowledge that I've learned over the years that all the Imagineers put into the lounges. So that was one thing that I was super excited to get to share with them on the sailing.
So before you actually take your trip and you're heading to port and all, what does some of your pre-planning and pre-packing look like? What are a few of the items that you make sure you have every time and you would recommend that people take on Disney cruises?
Yeah. So based on the length of sailing is going to kind of change the amount or quantity of packing that we do. On embarkation day, we're big pool, wall, and slide people. So we always make sure we have in our carry-on a bathing suit, some sunscreen, cover-ups, stuff like that. Also, we love dressing up for pirate night. So we make sure if we're going on a Caribbean or Bohemian sailing that's going to have a pirate night, always make sure we have a pirate costume. If my daughter's was going to do the Royal Gathering, which is basically a ticketed event, but it is included in your sailing if you're able to get the ticket, where you get to meet 4 to 5 different princesses. So I'll make sure she has an outfit or an autographed book or a T-shirt, something that we want them to sign to remember the sailing by. We also have I have a basically a Disney cruise luggage that I will pack that will have neck fans. It has our fish extender, which is like a bag of sorts that kind of hangs from a knob outside your room that you're able to participate with fish exchangers in the Facebook group or be involved with pixie dusting. We have magnets for the doors. I'm a huge collector of magnets. Every podcast that I enjoy listening to, every YouTuber that I enjoy watching their videos that I interact with, I'll pay for or request or do a magnet exchange with mine. So you'll see over the years as I get more and more magnets, it's a huge pride of joy that I get to show everyone all the magnets. And then we also have some princess magnets and we decorate the doors. This time for this sailing, one thing we did different was my wife actually made a little sign and I brought about 10, 15 magnets of my own for people to take off and bring back to their door to decorate and learn a little more about the website. Some other important things, backup batteries for the phones or any of my camera gear. Also, with the sailings, we've always gotten a wet dry bag. I pack all of those because I never know when you're going to need to throw those. They're perfect for excursions where you're going to get wet, but you want to keep some items separate in your bag. A little laundry hamper that's collapsible. We bring one of those. Another thing that we use, because most of the ships, all of your room, the walls are magnets. So I'll bring hooks to hang our lanyards, hooks to bring our hats, hooks to also hang a shoe rack that will put sunscreen in, hair products in, combs, etc. Now those they can't hang over the door, so the magnets hold them basically on the back side of the door, whether it's your door to get into your room or if you have an adjoining door that you're not going to use with the stateroom next to you, I'll also throw one up there. If you guys are big fans of popcorn and you have a bucket from Walt Disney World, Disneyland, or a previous cruising, bring that. You never know. Majority of the time, they will honor it, and you'll just have to pay for the refills. Sometimes they want you to buy a new one, but majority of the times, I do feel it's a great idea, especially if you're going to watch movies or go to the Broadway shows, and you and your family love popcorn. Might as well take that chance because then it's only a $2 refill. So those are some of the most important things that we pack before our sailing. I do have different packing lists on the website, whether it's a 3, 4, 5, or 7 night. And based on where you're going, whether it's a Caribbean, Bohemian sailing, or Alaska, there are some packing recommendation lists on the website. The last couple of times that we've gone, I've actually got really big into packing in cubes. So I've experimented with that, whether I do it per day or I do it more of just everyone's in one certain color. So when we unpack, it's a lot easier. So I have enjoyed using cubes. I know people either love or hate them. Something to try.
Yeah. So those are a lot of great tips on things to bring. And obviously, if someone goes out to the DCL site, you will see things that are prohibited. But are there any specific items that are prohibited that a lot of people make the mistake of bringing on board or trying to bring on board, I should say?
Well, one of the prohibited things that people sometimes forget is packing alcohol or water or drinks not in your carry-on. Now, you can bring it on, and there are limits to what you can bring as far as alcohol, and that is talked about on the website. And water and sodas, it's pretty much as you can carry on. So do not pack those. They will confiscate them and give them to you at the end of the cruise. Drones, irons, gun, any type of weapon, but in particular, certain, especially with Pirate Night, some swords or weapons are also that are, even though they're costume related, would get confiscated also. I think we tried to bring we saw one time a person try to bring a steamer on for their clothes. That's one thing that will get confiscated. So we always bring, I think Downey has a spray product that will spray on clothes and then hang them in the bathrooms while we shower. So that's just a few, but definitely check that list. I know when you sign up for a sailing, they will email you some of those links as you get closer, just as a reminder. And always check Disney's website for the most up-to-date one.
Perfect. Awesome. All right, let's talk about getting to port. You're from just outside the Nashville area. A lot of folks are coming into the ports from having to fly in and all of that. What is your process for getting to port, making sure that you're going to be showing up to port on time, getting to board and all of that? How does that look for you guys?
Absolutely. So the golden rule is to never fly in the day of your cruise. Always fly in at least 1 to 2 days before. With going out of Port Canaveral, Disney World is just a hop, skip, and away. So if you're going to get in a couple of days early, you could always go to the parks. But we typically will fly in the night before. And based on our experience of going out of Port Canaveral, we have really fallen in love with staying at both the Hyatt at MCO, the airport, and also pairing that with Disney ground transfers. So there's a couple of reasons why we do that. Is first, I don't have to pay for a second form of transportation to get from the airport to my hotel. Kind of save a couple bucks there, will not have to use a taxi or an Uber or Lyft or anything like that. And then also just Disney ground transfers as a whole, I feel is a huge plus to anybody that wants to sail through Disney, that's staying at any of the affiliates that it's offered, whether it's a Disney World hotel, where it's the MCO Hyatt, or from the airport, for example. There are huge benefits, which I'll talk about now. Is first and foremost, when you use Disney ground transfers and you're staying at the Hyatt, that morning you actually get to leave your suitcases in your room, tagged with the luggage tags that you'll get in the mail before. If not, you grab them down in the waiting area, but you'll have your bags ready for 8 o'clock in your room, and they will actually pick them up and they will magically appear in your stateroom.
Oh, wow.
Now, as far as the check-in process, before September of 2023, you used to just go downstairs, get in line, and you would get assigned a bus, and then you get to the port and then have the entire check-in process. Well, Disney got really smart, and there's more and more people that are staying at the Hyatt and participating with Disney ground transfer, that now they have taken the whole entire check-in process and they're actually doing it at the hotel. So you will receive an email 1 to 2 days before that you'll be assigned a time based on if you're sailing concierge or based on your Castaway Club status. So, for example, with us being platinum, I think we headed down around 8:30 or 8:45. You go down with everyone in your stateroom, bring all your travel documentations, whether it's a passport, birth certificate, bring down your Disney Magic Bands, Disney Band Pluses, and then also know how many pieces of luggage are in your room for them to pick up. And also your hotel room, they're just going to confirm that. So during that check-in process, they go over everything. Also make sure you've done the health questionnaire that morning before you go down to check-in. It's one per stateroom, not per person. It's 3 simple questions. That's one of the first things I'll do when I get up that morning. So the check-in process is super easy. They'll assign you a bus, and then you basically come back to that area about 10-15 minutes before the slotted bus time, and you get on the bus, drive for about 45 minutes, and show up at Port Canaveral. You then will go right through security. It's basically the same airport security, and then you wait in the waiting area. Now, the benefits of using the Disney ground transfer is, yes, it's awesome that they pick up your luggage in your room, but also during check-in, if you are, say, a gold, first time cruiser, silver, your check-in time is a lot later than some of the concierge, pearl, or platinum members. So they're going to get some of the earlier boarding times. But using Disney ground transfer, they automatically assign you a boarding time and a boarding group, a port arrival time and a boarding group. So in the past, I've typically have seen anywhere from 3 to 6 for boarding group, and getting there is around 11:30. But that really doesn't even matter as far as your port arrival time if you're using Disney ground transfers. Once you're on the bus, once you get there, you go right through and you're just waiting on your boarding group. So 3 to 6, you're typically on the bus. I'm sorry, you're on the ship anywhere from 11:30 to 12, the latest. They go through those first ones pretty quickly. So it's a little trick for those that are first time cruisers or gold that really want to get on the ship as soon as you can. Book Disney ground transfers and you'll get on there as soon as early. And also you could use Disney ground transfers through the airport. So if you are flying in that day, they will pick you up then also. Or if you didn't want to stay at the Hyatt, but you were staying local and you then head back to the Hyatt in the morning for Disney ground transfers, you don't have to stay at that hotel or that location in order to be picked up there.
Awesome. That's really great tips about that in the ground transfer. That can certainly save people a ton of time and headache. I am very sure of that. Before we move on to your getting on the ship and your first day there, so I don't forget, do you recommend the Disney Band Pluses for the cruises, or do you think it's something that folks can live without?
So I enjoy it, but I don't feel like it's a necessity.
Okay.
So a couple of reasons why is I love for it to open your room. It's super easy, especially if my hands are filled. That's one of the best things for it. During dinners, or sometimes if you're going to the lounges, bars, and you're ordering something, opening something at the pool side, you have to take the watch off to give it to them. There's not really mobile scanners. So I find until they have that ability, it is a hassle because I like to lock mine so that if it doesn't fall off, I have locks for everyone that I bought off of Etsy. So I found that actually on this last sailing, I never even used it. I just went with the lanyard the whole time. It was much easier for me just to hand someone my lanyard from around my neck than to take off the magic band.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that I do enjoy is, so on Animator's palette, which is on the first 4 ships, Magic, Wonder, Dream, and Fantasy, during some of the shows, the watches will interact. During the pirate show, the watches will light up and interact. And some other deck parties and activities throughout your sailing, the watch does light up, buzz, and interact, which is a lot of fun, especially seeing the reactions on the kids or even adults. Oh, wow. So I do find it's great. Is there room for improvement? Absolutely. Is it a necessity? No. On this last sailing, also, we were able to use the bands to get off and on the ship, which in the past that wasn't allowed. You had to still use your key to the world card. So wearing the band and bringing the card, I found, was just too redundant. And sometimes at the ports also they can't link them. So when we were on the Magic last August, I had to go to guest services once we were on the ship already to get our Disney Band Pluses linked to our staterooms.
Yeah.
And lastly, I love the idea of them, but the fact that you can't transfer them within your own family, I thought just seemed odd. My daughter bought a Stitch one for my daughter, and we are a Stitch family. And I'm like, maybe if we go on a sailing, it's just my wife and I would love to rock the Stitch Disney Band Plus, but you can't. Once it's assigned to one person, it's locked there indefinitely. So I think that was one thing that shocked me, disappointed me a little. So overall, I think if you have a Disney Magic Band from the parks already, bring it.
Yeah.
Might as well link it to the account and see if you like it. If you're buying one and you're not sure, if you buy one that's maybe a ship specific one or a special character that you plan to use in the future, then yes. The other benefit is with my daughter having one and going to the kids club, we now don't have to use the one that Disney provides us and then remember to return that, so we're not getting a $25 charge. We just use the ones that we brought. So overall, I feel like if you have it, bring it. You never know if you want to try it and use it. It is definitely not a necessity.
Yeah. And one thing we found out, because I collect magic bands pretty much. So I've got 30, 40 of them I use. And I'm the type that will pack for Disney World, and I will pack multiple magic bands,
Mhm.
whether it's to go with my outfit or the park or whatever. And we did find out that they can only link one at a time to a person on the ship when we went last year. So
Okay.
it's not like I brought three or four. We went down and asked them about it, and they're like, nope, you can have one. And they would gladly switch it, but we just kept it on that one and brought those extra for no reason. So just something else that we learned last year when we tried. Let's talk about getting on the ship. You're getting on the brand new Disney Treasure. I believe this was like the 14th sailing or something of it that you guys
Mhm.
got on, so very new. What were some of your first impressions as they announce your family and you walk onto that ship?
Yeah, the Grand Hall it's absolutely breathtaking. I loved seeing all the dark green, blue, the gold, the red. It's also awesome to see some of the floral arrangements that were placed in certain areas of the Grand Hall and by the stage. Love going in, taking a couple steps, and then looking up at the chandelier. It's just absolutely breathtaking. Seeing one large chandelier and then six smaller chandeliers that symbolize the current six ships in the fleet. And then each of the small chandeliers has a little homage to the atrium statues that are on all those ships. Then you take a look to the left and you get to see Aladdin and Jasmine on the flying carpet as the atrium statue. Then you look down at the carpet and see Abu in his monkey and being an elephant. And then just looking around at all the tile and all the mosaics that they did close to the stage really is just breathtaking. One of the things that I was most excited about was actually coming back when it was going to be less crowded and looking at all the little details and Easter eggs that were placed throughout the Grand Hall. Like, for example, the peacock has 53 feathers to give an homage to the song from the live action Aladdin. So it is breathtaking. Such a stark difference to the Wish. That's very very princessy. This was, I would use the word a little more masculine, more adventurous, just beautiful colors. My wife and I described it as therapeutic, comfy, cozy kind of feeling.
Yeah. There's nothing like the Disney Cruise Line and the details and all that attention to detail that you're talking about and all those Easter eggs and spending the time to really look at everything and take it all in. That's some of my favorite things to do. And we've only done two cruises. We're doing the Destiny next year in April. But yeah, just taking the time to walk around and look at that stuff is just incredible. So your first day on the ship, what do you tend to do? Because you can't get into your room right away. What are some of your recommendations and tips on how to spend that time until you're able to get into your room and then going on into that evening?
Yep. There's a couple different recommendations based on your family. So we are a pool family.
Mm-hmm.
So once we get through, we'll head right up to the pool deck, try to grab a couple chairs in the shade. Now we're with us using the Disney ground transfer, we're on around 11:30. Lunches typically don't start until noon. So we have about 30 minutes to wait before we could start grabbing some lunch. So we'll grab the chairs and immediately hit the pools or go to the AquaMouse. Now, unfortunately, they were doing some painting over in the AquaMouse area, so that wasn't actually going to be open until 4:30. Therefore, my daughter and I went on the Slidosaurus Rex. That's the second slide on the Disney Treasure and the Wish. And the only basically rate limiting effect of that slide is the stairs. So we went on it basically about 15 times in a row, up and down. There was no wait, and told my daughter was like, nope, no more stairs, Daddy. That's it. We're done. After that, we'll get some burgers, hot dogs, and fries from Goofy's Grill. And then I will go to Marceline Market and grab some seafood and a couple of the Embarkation Day treats such as the Oreo cheesecake or the chicken tikka masala, and just get a couple different plates and carry them out, and we'll all eat. We're in the on the pool deck while we're enjoying, just taking it in, seeing as the area gets busier and busier and busier. So we'll basically stay at the pools and the slides almost right until our rooms are ready.
How does the
The
pool
other
compare to some of the other ships, and what is the layout like on the Treasure?
Yeah, so the Wish and the Treasure and the Destiny all will have the same number of pools. So there's two pools that are up on, I believe, deck 12, Goofy and maybe Donald's pool. not 100%, but sure. But those are a little deeper pools
Hmm.
versus there's two pools on a little lower that are almost just wading pools. And then Mickey's in the middle is also a decent sized pool. But we'll go to the top pools, will be a little deeper so that you could actually not necessarily swim, but you're not standing
Yeah.
in the pool per se. And all the pools have outstanding views of the funnel vision, which is basically a massive screen that they're going to be playing Disney movies during your entire sailing.
Yeah. You get into the stateroom. Talk about your first impressions of the stateroom and then how this one compares to some of the other staterooms. I know they're all very similar in layout.
Yep. So basically Disney has four large categories of rooms. You have your inside stateroom, you have your ocean view room, which is either going to have one large porthole to look out or two smaller ones. You're going to have your veranda, which would have a walkout deck, and then you're going to have concierge. Each of those are going to have subcategories into each one, which maybe might have a bigger veranda, might have a different type of veranda, like I mentioned earlier, the navigator's veranda, which will have some type of obstruction. And then all those are going to be based on where you are in the ship, whether you're in the forward, midship, or aft. With our sailing, I actually booked the same exact room that we stayed on the Wish because I wanted to see what changes, if any, were made from the Wish to the Treasure. There were a couple small changes, but there were changes that I really thought was a great idea. The first one is in most of your staterooms, the trash can is a floating trash can, meaning it's out and about, it's underneath your desk, it's in where your walking area. It's basically something that you're going to bump into in the middle of the night while you're walking to the bathroom. Here on the Treasure, they took a corner section of the desk, made a little triangle in it, and that sits and actually holds the garbage can. Great idea, very nice. Second, the closets on the Wish or on other ships, they slide the closet doors. And sometimes you have to figure out which way to move that door and the door next to it in order to get to the closet space that you want.
Yeah.
On the Treasure, these actually opened up. Thought that was a huge plus, made it getting in and out super easy. And lastly, one thing that we love about Disney Cruise Line is the split bathrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're in an inside stateroom, that's not a deluxe. If it's just an inside stateroom, which I believe there are none on the Wish class, you only have one bathroom, but all the others will have a split bathroom. So in one bathroom, you have a sink and a toilet. In the second bathroom, you will have the shower tub combo and a second sink, which makes it really great when your wife or your family or some of your family members are getting ready and someone's showering. Allows multiple people to get ready at the same time.
Yeah.
So those two improvements was something that I picked up right away and thought was a great improvement to the Wish class.
Now, what did the decor look like in your room, and what other
so
options are there throughout the Treasure?
Yep, our room was themed to Up, so we had a real nice painting in the back of the house with the balloons over the falls. There's on different floors or different room types are going to have different theming. Some of them on the Treasure would be Encanto, some of them would be Aladdin. We had Up. I'm trying to think. So also the fish extender hook that you have outside your room is also going to match your theming. So Aladdin, they had the scarab bug, we had the butterfly, and also the carpet. So you'll get to see on certain floors, you would see by the stairs, we had a big Nemo for Finding Nemo. That was the theming for that floor, etc., stuff like that. And also the color of the carpet. So one part of the ship would have green carpet, and then one part of the ship would have red carpet.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, you would know exactly where you are on the ship.
Yeah. One of the things we did the Wish in September of 2022. And that was my first real cruise. I'd done a really small Carnival cruise years ago. And once you figure out like those color combinations and the way around the ship, do it day one, because
Oh,
we
yeah.
only did a 3 night then, and basically it took until the last night till I could figure out where we were on that ship at any time. And I didn't realize ahead of time that things are labeled to help you direct, or color coded to help you around the ships.
Yeah.
Definitely a really good tip to let people know about there. So what did dinner look like that first night for you guys? And then you do the muster drill right prior to that,
Mhm.
after you've been in your
Yep.
room, correct?
Yep. So the muster drill, I think, is typically around 3:30 or
Okay.
4, and that you'll basically will be assigned a area on the ship to go, whether it's outside one of the restaurants, etc. You and everyone in your stateroom will go down there, watch a little video, and after that, everyone heads up to the pool deck to watch the sail away party. My favorite spot is to actually go one deck above the pool deck, so you're actually looking down, and we like to go on the starboard side. No rhyme or reason. I find that's typically where we'll like to go,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll enjoy that show. It's awesome because that was the first time we got to meet Sage and Coriander, who are the treasure seekers, the improv actors that you'll get to experience during your entire sailing. And then Captain Minnie will come on and do a 5 countdown to basically start to pull away from Port Canaveral. They'll play the horns, and it's a great way just to kick off your sailing. And that's going to happen on every sailing. If weather permitting, if it's not good, they will do that in the atrium or the grand hall. But that is definitely one of the do not misses for your sailing. It's a lot of fun. Get to see a lot of characters. And I actually, talking to people that are around me, I met a family that came down from Canada for their first sailing. So we were talking about some tips for them to have a magical sailing. After the sail away, we'll head back to the room and get ready. We are a main dining, or also known as first dining. Starts at 5:45. On most sailings, our bags have arrived either before the muster drill or definitely by dinner. Unfortunately, this was the first time on our sailing that our bags weren't there. So a little advice here is, if you're going to need something for that first night dinner, make sure you carry it on, whether it's makeup, a special outfit,
Yeah.
medication you should absolutely carry with you. Do not pack that in any checked bags. But basically anything you're going to need for that first night's dinner, make sure you bring that carry on with you. So we would, while we are getting ready for our first dinner, which was in 1923, we would typically be getting our room ready, but unfortunately, it did not come until after our room, which no big deal. We have clothes packed, so that's no worries. Also, besides unpacking, typically we like to decorate our door during
Mm-hmm.
that time, but we came back after dinner and actually did that then. So first night was 1923, which is split into 2 sections. It's the restaurant that's right outside the Grand Hall, named for, there's a Roy side and a Walt side, and it's a California kind of infusion food. There's some really great dishes on this first menu. This is also the same menu that's offered on the Wish sailing. Some of the highlights, real quick, is the burrata mozzarella appetizer. As far as the entree, we'll get 2 different entrees: the 1923 peppered fillet, and there's also on the lighter notes, there's a lobster salad that we'll actually order, enjoy the salad, and also put our lobster and eat the steak together to have a surf and turf, which was delicious. And the pasta entree for that dinner has a awesome cream sauce. Those are our go-tos. Desserts for the first night, I was very excited to try something new, which is not on the Wish. So on the Wish, it has churros, which are delicious, but they moved those to Plaza de Coco for the treasure. So they had these warm donut holes with a caramel dipping sauce. So we were very excited to get to try that, and then also get to meet your dining staff that's going to be traveling with you each restaurant every night. Get to know them, get to know a little about their families, where they're from, how long they've been on Disney, and then they also get to learn about us, what we like, how excited we are for the sailing. One thing you mentioned earlier about the website, before getting into Disney Cruise Line, I was a big foodie chef kind of person. So I love taking photos of the food. That's one of the highlights on my website is there's a menus tab that basically has every ship, majority of the menus and photos of almost all the food. So you get to look at what you're going to hopefully get to experience. Just don't go to that website while you're hungry. It would be torture.
Yeah.
So after getting to meet everyone and enjoying an awesome meal, we headed back to the room to finish unpacking and to decorate our door. The first night for entertainment, it has Disney Seas the Adventure, which is one of three Broadway shows. It is also the shortest of the three Broadway shows, roughly around 30 to 45 minutes. Therefore, if you have some small kids, or if you're not sure if your kids are going to want to enjoy the whole Broadway show, or you want to just have them experience the shorter show, definitely recommend to go this night to dip your feet into the theater. Also of note, if you are not able to make it and you're in your stateroom like myself and my family, know that Broadway show will be actually shown on your TV also during that same time. Now, it might not be the same one that's being shown or played in the theater, might be a previous recording, but you still get to enjoy that. So every night during your sailing that there is a Broadway show going on, you can also watch it in your stateroom just in case you have a little one napping or you're just hanging out in your room.
Wow. Those are the types of things that I think a lot of people don't pick up on unless they hear it from someone like you who is a veteran cruiser. I didn't know that they did that in the rooms, and that's something we would definitely have taken advantage of on our past cruises, and we'll make sure that we do in the future. So I absolutely love that part. So let's talk about your first real full day. It was a day at sea, correct? What did your day at sea look like, and what do you guys typically like to do to bide your time as you're sailing off to your next location?
Yep. So for sea days, especially early on in the cruise, before you get more and more full as the sailing goes on, we will book a Palo brunch for my wife and myself. I think this was our third or fourth Palo brunch we got to experience. And one of the reasons why we did a Palo brunch versus a Palo dinner or any adult dining dinner at all is I really did not want to miss any of the
Yeah.
menus of the rotational dining. A lot of people do book if they're experienced or have been on Disney cruising and they don't like the pirate menu. A lot of times people will book adult dining during that time. Now we actually do enjoy the seafood on the pirate menus. My wife and I will book Apollo brunch for during our sailing. My daughter Brooklyn is 9, so we put her in the kids club during our Apollo brunch. And when you drop off your kid at the Oceaneers Club or Lab, recommend letting the staff know that you are doing an adult dining. They will put something on the kid's profile. That way, they'll make an extra effort to make sure that the child's enjoying themselves and there's no issues, and they'll try not to really bother you during your adult dining unless it's an
Yeah.
emergency.
Yeah.
So we had an awesome server named Anna from Serbia. She gave us some great recommendations. So brunch is a fixed price. That is $50, and basically everything in the menu besides some alcoholic drinks are included. You could start with a antipasto. They have a meat and a seafood one. We got one of each to try. That was the first time we tried the seafood one. Wanted to see how the snowshoe crab legs were, and the meat one and the cheese is always outstanding. As far as the next course, they have a couple different egg options as far as frittatas or an eggs benedict. They also have pancakes and Mickey waffles. So this time we tried the zucchini frittata, and I also paired that with the warm cinnamon bun, which is on the dessert menu. And the reason why I wanted to do that is the last couple of times for Palo brunch, we haven't made it to dessert. We're quite stuffed by the time dessert calls. And I've heard on other podcasts how delicious this cinnamon bun was. So I paired it with the zucchini frittata, which in hindsight, I would have never guessed it would have paired as well as it did because the balsamic on the zucchini frittata was very savory and paired very well with the light, sweet cinnamon bun that I feel like I'm going to rotate the different frittatas, but still pair it with the cinnamon bun. It
Interesting.
was by far the best course I think we had during our Palo brunch.
Wow.
Highly recommend it.
That,
Next course, I should say, you have flatbreads, or basically pizzas or calzones. Now, you don't have to order everything. I'm just going through how the menu is broken down.
yeah.
As far as the flatbreads, they have a margarita, they have a spicy sausage, and there was a pizza that was previously on the menu that is no longer on the menu, but you can request it, and it's my highly recommended pizza. It's a grape and gorgonzola pizza, and the sweetness of the grapes and the tartness and the tanginess of the gorgonzola cheese pairs really well on the pizza. And you could order halves also. So if you're like, oh, Chris, I'm not sure if I'm going to really like that, do half grape and gorgonzola and half of margarita or anything that you would like. The pizza is outstanding. And then if you're still hungry, which hopefully you are, the entrees, the main course, there's a delicious wild mushroom ravioli that we always get, the chicken parmesan with a beautiful risotto, outstanding. This time I tried the snapper. I wanted a little seafood. I would not recommend the snapper. It was just very dry and it really needed a good amount of acid to help it out. And then I think that was it. By that time, we were absolutely stuffed. Couldn't look at the dessert menu, but there are some outstanding desserts on there, whether there's a limoncello cake, there's a fruit with not a whipped cream, but I forgot what it's called, but there are some outstanding desserts on there. And I think the Palo brunch, we were there for probably about an hour and a half to almost 2 hours, which is perfect time for my daughter to spend in the kids club, and then also to just get some quality time with my wife.
Yeah. And this is the reason I like to have folks like you on, because I like for our listeners to learn stuff, but I always learn a ton too. Like the splitting the pizza half and getting to try more things. You had told me before we hit record, you were originally from New Jersey, so I'm definitely going to trust any of your pizza recommendations for sure. So yeah, I love hearing about all the different foods. And for $50 a person, I'm trying to think of any better deal on the Disney Cruise Line or Walt Disney World than that. I don't know that there is a better deal than $50 for everything that you get at Palo. For the quality, the service, everything that you get through that is just unbelievable. I definitely recommend that everybody books that, and I love your idea of booking it for brunch. Our first time when we did the Wish, we booked it for a dinner, and we missed one of those rotational dinings, and I wish that we had maybe adjusted that a little bit. So we ended up doing brunch when we did the Magic last year, and really loved that. What does the rest of the day then look like for you on a sea day?
Yep. So after that, we'll grab Brooklyn out of the kids club and let her have a yes day to thank her for going to the kids club so Sarah and I could have some time. So
That's awesome.
we'll go up to the pool area and get her some lunch and basically hang around in the pool. That day in particular, she had a Stitch costume that she wanted to actually get changed into after the pool. So we did that, and we then explored the ship. We went into a couple of the lounges, talked to her about some of the Easter eggs, took some photos, walked around to see some of the random characters. So I would say that rest of that sea day, we explored the ship from deck 3 all the way up to the pool deck. So that was a lot of fun, just getting to explore that. We also stopped on the Treasure and the Wish and the Destiny, there's 2 different movie theaters. On the other ships, there's one. So this has Wonderland and Neverland, and they have different movies running in it at different times. So she was interested in seeing Moana 2. So we stopped in and watched about half the movie, and then we wanted to get up and get walking around again. And this was the first time that we got to bring our refillable popcorn bucket. We sailed a couple months prior, and it was actually a small popcorn bucket. It was a Toy Story one, so I felt like it was the perfect size to fit in our luggage. So I definitely brought it on the ship, and they had no problem. And I was like, oh, don't even put the popcorn in it. Just give me the popcorn in a little serving thing, and that was perfect. So she got some popcorn during that movie theater. Then we ran into characters in the Grand Hall. We got to see Jasmine, stopped to see some photos for her. Because it was a sea day, all the shops were open. So we definitely jumped into Mickey's main sale, to see what kind of hidden treasures would be in the shops.
So yeah, that's another thing that I don't know if a lot of folks know that haven't cruised before, because we certainly didn't, is that those shops will not be open when you're at port. So you really want to take advantage of them on those sea days and things like that. Because we went to do our first shopping, I think, when we were at port, and then we were like, can't do that. And then everybody will then go to the shops once they open and you're back out at sea. So if you can time that, especially on that first day, I think. So talk about some of the different lounges and the options that are there, because I know the Treasure has some stuff that I believe the Wish has had, and then it brings some new things to the table, correct?
Yes, yep. As far as the lounges and are there any age restrictions? So the Scat Cat Lounge, which is the lounge themed off the Aristocats, which is right off the Grand Hall area. No matter what time of the day, it is always 18 plus. But there is on the Treasure versus Nightingales on the Wish, there is a bar connection that's outside. So you could actually sit and enjoy a drink and let your kid play or run around in the Grand Hall versus Nightingales. You wouldn't have that opportunity. That was one nice change that was made. And a couple Easter eggs with the Scat Cat Lounge is there's some cat paw prints on the pianos. And one of the Imagineers unfortunately lost her cat during when they were designing the Scat Cat Lounge. So they actually used one of the paw prints in honor of the cat that passed away. So if you look at the photos of the piano, you'll see that there's clearly one that is different from all the others. And also the layout of the paw prints resembles the dance that happens during Aristocats.
Wow.
And with the theme of the cats, there is a drink in that lounge that comes in a glass that, when you look in the bottom, it is etched of a cat face that is colored or it's white. Now, unfortunately, they didn't have any on the sailing, so hadn't get any photos of that. But that is an awesome souvenir for those that are huge cat lovers.
Yeah.
So again, that's going to be Scat Cat Lounge, which is next to the Grand Hall. So if you go down towards the shops, the next lounge is going to be the Skipper Society. That is a Jungle Cruise themed bar. One thing I forgot to mention is the way the Treasure themed their adult lounges or bars is based off of, it would be a Disney park enthusiastic fan. So you'll see a lot of theming of the bars as an homage to the parks. So this would be the first one, Skipper Society themed to Jungle Cruise, and there's some really awesome Easter eggs that are in this lounge. Definitely spend some time here. If you look at some of the paddles on the wall, they have 55 and 71 as homages to Disneyland and Disney World opening years, because the Jungle Cruise was a opening day ride. There's also postcards from Walt and different skippers on the wall. And then, with there being live music in this lounge, there's a stage. And the stage background, or basically outline, is etched wood that has all the animals that you would see on the ride. So you'd see a hippopotamus, for example. And then lastly, there's an old time radio in the corner of the lounge that's actually playing kind of the same quips and the same cue that you would get to experience while you're waiting in line for the ride at the parks. As far as the drinks here, there's an awesome drink that's in a tiki mug that is shaped of basically a boat that has a monkey at the helm and all little DCL logos. That is a very fun tiki mug and a great souvenir to bring home. The name of the bar is the EMS Empress, homage to the EMS River, which is the river that, when the ships are built in Meyerwerf in Papenburg, Germany, that's the river that they sail out of to leave the shipyard to get to open waters. So those are just a couple of the awesome Easter eggs in Skipper Society. And if that area is too loud or you're dying to get into the next themed bar, just look right across the hall. You have the Haunted Mansion Parlor. There's been tons of hype, and I can tell you this bar is themed to the max. My daughter and I went into it one day before it was opened without all the lights and all the fun. I just wanted to see how she took it in, make sure not too scared or
Yeah.
anything like that. And she absolutely loved it. We talked about the skeleton fish tank, talked about the different paintings, the ghost clock. So once that bar actually opened up, the three of us came back and got a table by the fireplace, ordered two drinks. We ordered the Coolish Delight because there's these cool little gummy eyeballs that come in the drink. And then also we ordered, there are sodas, I think 4 or 5 different flavors. We tried this lemonade shivers that has like iridescence. You shake it before you open it, it glows, really cool. So as far as the Haunted Mansion parlor, early on in all the sailings, going to be super long lines,
Mhm.
very busy. So if you're able to wait maybe halfway through the cruise or anything like that, you'll be able to walk right in and get a table. Very easy.
That's a great.
The Basically, the show lasts about 45 minutes. So make sure you get to stay, get to hear all the ghosts, see them pop up at the behind the bar. But if you do go back a second time, I actually highly recommend you sit in a different seat because you'll get to hear and experience things differently. You might hear different painting, a different sound, different person talking to you. And then the theming in there with there's two different tiki mugs. There's one that's called The Last Catch, which is like a mariner, and then there's the bride. So those are two awesome tiki mugs. And if at any of these locations you don't want your drink poured into the tiki mug because you don't want to have to wash it to bring it home, they'll definitely serve you the drink outside of it so that you don't have to worry about washing out the tiki mug. But the Haunted Mansion parlor was outstanding. I really can't wait to see it on the Destiny and get back on the Treasure. Just so much fun, so much little things to see. The wallpaper was awesome, see all the paintings, just a lot of fun.
That's awesome. That's what I think I'm most excited for on the Destiny as of now. So, what was dinner that night within the rotational dining, and then what kind of evening entertainment and things did you do after that?
Yep. So this night we were in Worlds of Marvel, which was the is the same menu as the Wish.
Okay.
Some highlights on this one. There's a bao bun for an appetizer that is quite delicious, and my favorite pairing entree is a chicken schnitzel, which is always comes out a little dry, but there's a ricotta and gnocchi pasta dish that I actually use the cream sauce that it comes in to dip the chicken in, and it pairs very nicely. As far as dessert, there's a chocolate cake, a nano, so like a nanoparticle cake that's delicious, and then the ice cream sundae comes with a big donut on it, so you can't go wrong ordering any of those. As far as the first night, it's a show where it's Ant-Man and Wasp, and it's a good show. It has a couple different characters that you'll get to see, and then there's a special Marvel character, no spoilers here, that will come out at the end and get to high five everybody. So make sure you stay to the end, especially if your kids love Marvel characters. It's a great, quick little photo opportunity. As far as after that, we went. So one thing that was different or that I didn't get to experience on any other 7 nights was that the Broadway shows, The Tale of Moana and Beauty and the Beast, were actually offered 2 consecutive nights, the same show, 2 consecutive nights.
Okay.
And then one of those nights, they offered extra entertainment in Sarabi, which is a 2-floor, basically smaller stage that they could host extra entertainment. So that night, we actually went to see the magician in Sarabi. She was very good. It was a lot of fun being that close to the stage, getting to see the different interactions. She also gave us a good amount of history of how she became a magician and some of her clips from being on like a Penn and Teller show and stuff like that.
Awesome.
So that was a lot of fun to get to experience that. And then after that, we headed to bed. It's always fun the first time you get into your stateroom after dinner. You get to figure out what towel animal your stateroom host made for you, always with a couple little different chocolate coins. And then this night, and for the rest of the sailing, our stateroom host, Krista, who was absolutely awesome, she quietly asked my wife if Brooklyn had any favorite princess or princesses or anything like that. And we mentioned Anna and Elsa from Frozen. And from that night on going forward, she was super excited, had some frozen sheets up in her bunk bed.
Wow.
So that was super exciting. And it's those little magical things that you never know what's going to happen on a sailing that really just makes it worthwhile to sail with Disney.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think that is one of the biggest difference makers is the cast members on the Disney Cruise Line. And as wonderful as they are in the parks, it's just a whole different level because, again, you're with them the whole cruise. And they get to know you, you get to know them. And there's just something about that level of service that I think is so amazing and just I've never experienced anywhere else. A big thank you to Chris from DCL Cruising Dad for joining me today and sharing so many awesome details from his Disney treasure sailing. But we're not done yet. Part 2 is coming up next episode. We'll dive into all of the port adventures, theme nights like Pirate Night, time at Castaway Cay, his final thoughts on the cruise, and a lot more. If you're ready to cruise into the magic, let MEI Travel help you book the perfect Disney Cruise Line vacation. From tropical destinations to onboard enchantment, it's more than a vacation, it's an unforgettable adventure at sea. Now, whether you're a first-time sailor or a Castaway Club Pearl Pro, Amy at MEI Travel handles every detail so you can focus on the fun. Visit mainstmagic.com/travel and let the magic set sail. Now, if you enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. And if you have a moment, we would love for you to leave us a rating and review. It really does help the show grow. That's all we've got, and we'll see you real soon.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts, Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.